Advise you that the meeting is being tape recorded. At this time, I'd like everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Ursina, roll call, please.
Mr. Force.
Here.
Mr. Saccone.
Here.
Mr. DePietro.
Here.
Mr. Kushner.
Here.
Mr. Buffalini.
Here. At this time, is there any public comments regarding the following business agenda items for tonight? None? Okay, our business agenda. The tax collector's report and treasurer's report are available for public inspection at the Hopewell Township Municipal Building. First, we need a motion to approve the October 28, 2019 business meeting minutes.
So
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Force, second by Mr. Saccone. Roll call.
Mr. Force.
Yes.
Mr. Saccone.
Yes.
Mr. DePietro.
I'd like to abstain.
Scooch, you were absent too last time.
28th, no, I think that was the last one, right, the 14th?
No,
28th was on the 20th?
I just looked at that.
According to the notes.
No, you were absent.
You were absent.
Okay, then I abstain.
I'll second. Buff, do I need to second that motion?
Yes. Second, it was,
Yeah.
okay. It was, motion was made by Mr. Force, second by Mr. Kushner.
Yeah, I abstained.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Ursina.
Mr. DePietro. You were absent.
Abstain.
Mr. Kushner.
Yes.
Mr. Buffalini.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Need a motion to approve the list of bills dated November 25, 2019 as presented. General Fund, $105,488.78. Sewer Fund, $33,702.54. State Fund, $23,645.98. And General Reserve Fund, $1,485. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Kushner, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Mr. Forrest, roll call.
Mr. Force.
Yes.
Mr. Saccone.
Yes.
Mr. DePietro.
Yes.
Mr. Kushner.
Yes.
Mr. Buffalini.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next, we need a motion to approve Sandy Coton as the new part-time sewer clerk at the rate of $14.50 per hour. Start date 11/21/2019. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Mr. Saccone, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Kushner, roll call.
Mr. Force.
Yes.
Mr. Saccone.
Yes.
Mr. DePietro.
Yes.
Mr. Kushner.
Yes.
Mr. Buffalini.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Need a motion to approve revised minimum municipal obligation from Mockenhoff for the 2020 Hopewell Township Police Pension Plan financial requirement of $391,012 based on the 2019 actuarial valuation, not the 2017 actuarial evaluation that was $341,599, which $43,000 increase. Do I have a motion? I'll make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. DePietro, roll call.
Mr. Force.
Yes.
Mr. Saccone.
Yes.
Mr. DePietro.
Yes.
Mr. Kushner.
Yes.
Mr. Buffalini.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Need a motion to approve ordinance 2019-02, an ordinance of the Township of Hopewell, Beaver County, Pennsylvania, appropriating monies from municipal taxes and revenues to defray expenses and liabilities of Hopewell Township for the calendar year ending December 31st, 2020. Ordinance 2019-2 was advertised in the Beaver County Times on October 14th, 2019. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Force, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. DePietro, roll call.
Mr. Force.
Yes.
Mr. Saccone.
Yes.
Mr. DePietro.
Yes.
Mr. Kushner.
Yes.
Mr. Buffalini.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, need a motion to approve ordinance 2019-03, an ordinance of the Township of Hopewell, Beaver County, Pennsylvania, fixing the tax rate at 16 mills to be required to defray specific expenditures and liabilities for operation of Hopewell Township government for the year ending December 31, 2020. The tax rate for 2020 has increased to 16 mills. Ordinance 2019-03 was advertised in the Beaver County Times on October 23, 2019. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Kushner. Do I have a second? I'll second. Roll call.
Mr. Forst?
Yes.
Mr. Saccone?
Yes.
Mr. DePietro?
Yes.
Mr. Kushner?
Yes.
Mr. Buffalini?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, at this time, do we have any commissioners' reports? One thing I do want to mention, if you've noticed, we were fortunate enough to get our paving company here, and we've got some roads done. Not all of them so far that we want done, but they're out there working, so that's a good thing. All right, we'll go to our departments. First, Mr. Police Chief Brian Ermacher. Police report, please.
Yes, sir. For the month of October, police vehicle mileage at monthly average for the year. Calls for service and citations slightly below average for the year. And incidents and arrests were above monthly average for the year. Department members attended a Coffee with a Cop event at McDonald's with members of Aliquippa PD. Attended a human trafficking event at Ohio UP Church. Myself and Officer Rogers attended an SRO meeting at Hopewell Area School District. Department members provided security at football games on October the 11th and 25th. Department members provided traffic control for the high school homecoming parade. Myself and Officer Rogers assisted with video clips for School Bus Safety Week. I also assisted on a video clip with the Women's Center for Domestic Violence Awareness. Department members attended a first responders picnic at Hopewell Volunteer Fire Department. Officer Rogers attended his monthly ESU training. Officer Lopez attended his monthly canine training. And department members investigated fatal stabbing and a fatal motor vehicle collision in the month of October. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Chief. KCI, Mr. Miller, engineering report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Pump station number 5 grant application is nearing completion. We have letters and resolutions received for that. The due date for that is December, I believe, 12th. We plan to submit that on or before the 6th, and selection for that particular project will be sometime mid-June 2020. We also, this past month, we're working on the Wickham cap plan has been approved by DEP. We owe them a implementation schedule due next week. We'll submit that. KCI is beginning the process of evaluating the treatment plant capacity in the next week also. This is the first item on the cap plan. We also had a kickoff discussion related to the sewer system comprehensive plan. The focus will be primarily on the Wickham service area with the Raccoon plant, and systematic or system-wide GPS data collection is sort of the third tier focus. This will all begin starting the end of this year and continue on into 2020. We also reviewed potential locations for memorial at the Hopewell Park with the planning and zoning folks, and have some comments to share with that with the person who is planning the memorial. Finally, summer developer meetings, sewage planning discussions related to those meetings. The developer's engineer is going to provide us some options for the township to consider going forward as they develop their plans. And this concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Miller. Mr. Krieger, Road Department.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hopewell Township monthly report for October. We milled and patched Lexington Drive entrance and the Roosevelt second block inward from the new pavement. Repaired oil leak on the skid steer pump at the gearbox and replaced the batteries. We welded the boom on the cat excavator as well as the front blade. It was cracked. Fabricated the spreaders to fit the new Ford F550 dump trucks, which are number 6 and 7. Installed tie rod ends on the service truck and glow plugs in truck number 4. Installed inlets on Washington and Cleveland and repaired the inlet on Roosevelt for the road program. We rebuilt the inlets at 1220 Longview and 110 Longview Avenue for the road paving program. We installed under drain on Cleveland Avenue for the road paving program. Graded the berms on Sawn Road and Beaver Lakes Boulevard with a road grader for the road program. Did a final cut on the berms with a brush hog. We swept streets and removed the leaves from inlet tops as they were plugging. And we patched as needed throughout the entire month. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Harris. Mr. McLaren, you left us our meeting minutes up here. Do you have anything to add? Or
Nothing, Mr. President.
nothing? Okay, thank you. All right, anything under old business? Anything under new business? All right, at this time, we'll have our citizens forum. Comments, questions, we ask the residents to state their names and addresses. Be brief and to the point. The group should be represented, please, by one spokesperson. Anyone? Yes, sir.
My name's Edward Burak. I live 1105 Morrow Road. I'm here about the Hopewell VFW gun range. This has been an ongoing problem. If you look at this row, these are all my neighbors. We're all here. We've been here now
5 months.
this many, well, this started over a year ago. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it last month. But we're exactly where we were a year ago. Now, I just sat and listened to the minutes. It was a lot easier for you guys to raise my taxes than it was to get something done with this gun range. I think we've shown a lot of patience. They're shooting there every day, on a daily basis, consistently. And I think it's about time something gets done. We're tired of hearing excuses. We're tired. Mr. Bates was supposed to set up a meeting. I'm still waiting for that. So what's up? What are you guys going to do for us? I want to be able, if you're going to raise my taxes, I want to at least be able to sit outside and enjoy my deck without having to listen to gunfire every day. So what are we going to do?
Take that, yes. So I did explain, kind of provide an update at last month's meeting as to what happened. We did have a meeting with them. I obtained some information from them. And John was to set up a meeting with representatives from your neighborhood as well as representatives of the DFW. I did not hear from John, and he's not here tonight. So I'll set the meeting up myself. And I understand that you're available. You can find people to be available,
I'll be
at any time. So,
but the thing about the meeting, and I don't want to throw a wet blanket on it, but we've had 3, and they've all ended badly. They've all ended badly. And all the residents on Morrow and Stone Quarry signed a petition to shut that gun range down. I mean, our stance is pretty obvious. It is what it is. So I'm not against the meeting. We'll have a meeting, but I don't have a lot of faith in a meeting. And to me, the meeting is just kicking the can down the road. I want to leave today knowing or feeling that something's going to get done. I mean, it's been a long time. It's been a long time. And I think it's time for you guys to step up and put an end to our problem, because we can't do it. If we could do it, it'd been done. But we just can't do it. So that's, and as far as the one more thing I wanted to say, they were supposed to stop training over there. On the Wednesday after Election Day, I hear some shooting, so the leaves are gone, and I can look right over there. And there's a guy being trained. Okay, there's a guy with a vest and another man going through some kind of certification or training, and they're firing and they're going to the target. They turn, they see me, and they start talking. It was obvious they were somebody that had the key to drive down there because their vehicles were down there. So it was somebody, an officer or something. And once they saw me, they talked for a while, and I acted like I had a phone and I was going to record them, and then they left. My point being, they know they're not supposed to be doing that. And if I hadn't been there, everybody sitting here would have to sit through an hour of gunfire again that wasn't supposed to happen. So we're just getting frustrated and would like something to get done. And that's all I got to say.
Yes, sir. John Janicki, 141 Stone Quarry Road. Update on the lead contamination in the wells caused by the gun range. I had a 1 hour talk with the head of the DEP project, and again, I said last month that they were going to follow a consent decree. That's on the judge's desk in Harrisburg. Right now, they have about 5 days left on their extension to clean up. And I doubt that that's going to get done. So this consent decree will happen, and the judge will give them 30 days, 60 days to say, you got 30 days to clean it up. I don't think that's going to happen. I still don't think they have the money. But my question is, and we had this cease and desist, they keep putting more and more and more lead in the ground. I have 2 wells that are both over EPA standards as far as lead goes. We can't drink our drinking water. Likewise, a couple other neighbors. That's the only ones they tested. Now, probably there's a whole bunch more wells, but DEP only tested a select few. So, one of my big questions is right now is, can't we use that cease and desist to say no more shooting until you guys get this cleaned up? I mean, I don't, you know, they're just putting more and more lead in the ground. And the DEP guy, I'm telling you, he was really upset. They never returned his calls. They act like, I don't know, I think they're just in Neverland. They don't really realize the seriousness of this cleanup. So anyway, he brought a new DEP man to show him the project, and he happened to be he tried to make an appointment with him, and nobody would ever answer his calls. So he went down in the bar, and they happened to be there that day. And he said, "How come you guys haven't returned my call?" He said, "Oh, we never got your call. You know, we didn't." And he said he left 3 messages. I was on the phone with him for an hour. He was just really upset. So I really hope that he just nails them for the fines and everything else, because they're not cooperating at all. And here we are, you know, buying our own bottled water and putting our own filtration systems in because they refused to be a good neighbor and clean up what they did. So we're really totally upset at this point.
You know, in the meeting that they want to have with us, you know, I'm going to start. I'll tell you how it's going to start. I'm going to say, you want to be a good neighbor, write me a check right now for $360 for the lead removal system that I had to install so I could drink water out of my kitchen sink. And we'll start there, if they want to be a good neighbor. So I don't see a lot of promise for this meeting. So what's up? What are we going to do? What's our next step?
Well, you read the letter from their attorney, Bolin or whatever his name is. So, oh, you can't tell us what to do with our property. But the fact is, you know, that noise ordinance does say, like this training that just went on, that's new. That should not be happening.
And what's going on with the noise ordinance? Isn't that something that was supposed to be looked into?
Well, there's a zoning piece to it and a nuisance piece to it. Both of those were discussed with them when we were there. The reason for the meeting with the neighbors and with your group is to discuss those issues, to see if there's any way to reach a resolution. If you're telling us you're convinced there's no way to reach a resolution, then I agree with you, there's no need to have the meeting. That would be the purpose for having the meeting.
That's what I said.
Well,
What's the step then?
So what?
I'm always willing to talk, but based on past experience with them, it's not a productive group. And really, everyone signed that petition, really. We've all signed the petition, so there's nothing really to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other thing I think they don't understand is, I don't see how they can afford to run, to say, for their members, okay, well, we want to have a place to shoot, sight our rifles in or whatever. But the DEP requires them to have a follow-up plan. Okay, so they clean it up. Now they've got 3 to 5 years that they've got to come up with a plan to redo that. And that's going to cost them again. And for all the shooting that gets done there, I can't see how they can afford to do that. And the DEP is going to charge them, when this is all done and finished, the DEP is going to charge them for all of the testing that they did previous year. That's going to all get billed to them.
They don't have
And any future testing. And if it goes to a point where the water starts to clear up, because they could never, the VFW says, oh, you never proved it was our lead. Okay, that's really tough to do. But if the lead in our wells starts to go down after all this is cleaned up, then that's going to prove to the DEP that was their lead. And this is the guy from the DEP told me this, that they can be liable in for any future costs to us, like to buy a filter system or to provide water to us, because it will be their fault. They don't realize that. They're just living in some dream world that just a bunch of good old guys and we want to go out and shoot our guns. I like to shoot. Yeah, I have a whole collection of guns, but I'm a responsible neighbor.
And the idea of not having a place to shoot, do a Google search. There's 10 places within 10 miles of 15001 that they can go shoot. And we've been through this, that the shooting it's just not one guy. When that guy's done, the next guy comes. And when that guy's done, the next guy comes. So they go home where it's nice and quiet, and we've got to listen to this series of shooting going on for hours. So, look, it's hard to get people to come out to these meetings. And these people, we've been here now for months to come, and now it's time to put up. It's time to make a move.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, Kevin Gallagher, 1131 Morrow Road. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that all the residents, we're not against the VFW. We love our veterans, we respect them, but it's the gun range that's causing the aggravation. And that's basically it. I have a brother that's a retired Moon Township policeman, and I know they have to qualify and stuff like that, and they have areas where they do that aren't in an area where there are residents, and they don't have that problem. But I just wanted to make the point that we are not against the VFW. We love our veterans. Thank you.
Thank you. So what, are you for having a meeting with them?
I don't see a point. We've all signed the petition stating that we want the gun range to cease.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Based upon what we've heard tonight.
All right. Anyone else?
Okay, what?
What?
You said okay, I was waiting for
No, I was
something.
talking to Mr. Mr. Jones.
Oh.
We're going to discuss it. If you guys want to get a meeting, we have to have a discussion on, you guys want to have it, don't want to have it. When we spoke to them, in fact, it was our suggestion that you both get together.
Well, how come that didn't happen?
Well, first of all, they were supposed to send some legal paperwork to Mr. Jones. And as of the last meeting, he didn't have it all.
I don't have.
He still doesn't.
One more piece, they sent me,
I'm not gonna get
it was
it.
5 different things we wanted, we got 4 of them, the 5th one didn't come, and we still don't have that. I don't think that's critical, though, for purposes of having this meeting, if we still want to have the meeting. If we don't want to have the meeting, I don't know that we need to have that final piece of information to do whatever needs to be done.
What do you guys think? Do you think it's worth it to have a meeting?
No,
No. No, okay,
I mean, they've had enough chances already. What else do you want?
yeah,
We don't want to come here every month and do the same thing.
right.
I understand.
Because our suggestion to them was, you know, if you get together, maybe we'll have a commissioner there, Mr. Jones there, and we'll have a discussion. That was the whole premise when we spoke to them. Now, if you don't want to have the meeting, you know, then we go from there.
Well,
Go where?
what was the delay in setting up the meeting? I mean,
Well, the legal paperwork that they were sending, you know, he has to know what's all involved, how long they've been running it, how long they've owned it, how long, all that information he'd like to have before sit down with a meeting. Because you could say something, they could say something, and if it's not on that paperwork that he has, then there's a misconception somewhere. So that was the reason for him getting all the paperwork.
well, just a question, do they have like a charter or something saying when that gun club was started?
Yeah, I believe they said they did.
I have a deed for when the property was purchased.
Well, that doesn't-
Doesn't matter.
No, I'm just
That
talking about
doesn't matter.
Well,
I don't
let
have a
me tell you
charter
what-
from them now.
I mean, they say, oh, we've been here since 1970. Well, Ed's house has been there since 1962, and it was,
Yeah, but, I mean, I haven't been in it, but my house was there. And if they were shooting then, it was too close to my house.
Yeah.
That goes back to what I said months ago, that the very first day, that very first guy stepped out the back door and fired that gun, that was an illegal act, because it was too close to all our homes. Even though we weren't living there, our homes were there. And their primary case is, well, we're grandfathered. We've been here for years, we've been doing this for years. Well, if I've been stealing cars for 20 years and never got caught, that doesn't mean I'm grandfathered in and I can just go out and steal cars at will. So, you know, they've been doing something that was illegal all this time, and now finally it's reached the boiling point where we've had enough. And that's our stance.
now I moved there in 1976, and that place where the gun range is right now was just undeveloped woods. In fact, I took my gun across, and Ron's father owned the farm behind there. I took my gun back to that field to go and shoot. And I walked through that area where they are now shooting. I was a bartender there for 6 years, and there was no shooting then in the early part of when the club first started. Yeah, maybe a couple guys walked out back and shot, but that was it.
So what we're going to do, we need to have an executive session tonight on a couple of other matters. I can tell you in the discussion we had with them, it sounded like if this doesn't get resolved, that it's going to involve some sort of litigation. So we're going to discuss this issue in executive session tonight, make a decision, and come out and let you know.
Tonight?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Okay?
okay.
Okay. Anyone else? No one? Okay. Just a couple announcements. The Township municipal offices and public works will be closed on Thursday and Friday, November 28th, 29th, 2019, in observance of the Thanksgiving holiday. Applications are now being accepted for seasonal park employment for the 2020 summer season. Applications are available at the Township Building and Hopewell High School Guidance Counselor's Office and the Township website. Applications must be returned to the Director of Parks and Recreation at the Municipal Building no later than January 31, 2020. Also, Hopewell Township will be collecting Toys for Tots program again this holiday season. You can drop new unwrapped toys to Hopewell Township Municipal Building during normal business hours, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30 p.m. You can also make monetary donations online. The Hopewell Township Parks and Recreation Department is sponsoring Hopewell Township Holiday Express on Friday, December 6th, 2019, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Hopewell Township Municipal Building. Hopewell Township's third annual Holiday Trail will be held on December 7th and 8th, 2019, from 12 noon to until 4 p.m. Please visit our website at hopewelltwp.com, our Facebook page and Twitter for updates on Hopewell Township news and events. At this time, we are going to go into executive session. We have some discussion on managerial and supervisory personnel, and of course the VFW situation. So, pardon me?
Garbage contract.
Oh, yeah, right, and a garbage contract also, our garbage contract. So, right now we'll go into executive sessions. When we're done, if there's anything that we have to take action on, we will at the end of that meeting and open back up for you to find out. Okay? So right now we'll go in executive session. We just get out of executive session. I'm glad to see you. You all stayed here.
Jamie, better on.
Yeah. And we do have a couple things to take action on. First, I'd like Mr. Jones to explain.
So on the VFW matter, the letter that was sent before that you referred to as a cease and desist order, that's what it was. The real intent of that was to prompt a meeting because we were having a difficult time getting a meeting with them, as I think you were on multiple times or occasions in the past. So we had that meeting with them, and as a result of that, as I mentioned earlier, we asked them to provide certain information to us. So we had that information. What we're going to do and what the board has authorized me to do is, in conjunction with John Bates, the zoning officer, we're going to issue a notice of zoning violation to them. And that will be issued, John's away this week, it'll be issued next week, all right? The notice of zoning violation is going to require that they stop all shooting activities there, okay? Essentially, the reason for that is because as best I can tell based on the information that we gathered, and I'm sure they're going to have a different take on this, it is evident that the shooting activities that have occurred there historically took place after the zoning ordinance was adopted, not before. So when they've made the suggestion that they're grandfathered, which that term is often used loosely, I think.
Right.
Grandfather essentially means, well, we were doing this before you had law in effect, so we're allowed to keep doing it.
Right, exactly.
Well, the zoning ordinance at that time that was in effect when they bought that property did not permit shooting ranges in that particular location, right? So, as you know, they've continued that over the years, but within the last 3 or 4 years, it's worsened as a result of them using higher powered weapons and firearms in there, which has become much more disruptive. But with that said, the activity, shooting activity of any kind, is not permitted there under our zoning ordinance and never has been. So that will be the that'll be the subject of the enforcement letter that's sent to them. Just to let you know where it would go from there, and the letter's going to say this: they'll have the right to appeal that letter, and that appeal goes to the Hopewell Township Zoning Hearing Board. If they appeal, there'll be a hearing. It'll be a public hearing, and you'll have the opportunity to appear there and actually testify, okay? As will they. So if all that happens, you'll be made aware of it. But what will occur, as I said, next week will be the issuance of that enforcement letter to them.
And once they receive that letter, if I understand correctly, there'll be no more shooting unless they appeal.
Well, they should stop shooting, but if they were to continue shooting, they're doing it in violation of the enforcement letter. Okay, the township at that point really doesn't have much more we can do other than let that play out. When I mean there's a time limit. They'll have 30 days to file an appeal. If they don't file the appeal within 30 days and they continue to do what they're doing, then we would take legal action. We would go directly to the Court of Common Pleas.
So once this letter is issued, and the shooting is to stop, and we hear shooting, what should we do?
I think you should let us know, so you should contact Jamie or Cena and let him know it's still going on. But as I said, they have that right to appeal, so they've got 30 days to file their appeal.
Yeah.
And you know, whether they continue to do what they're doing or not, it wouldn't be in their best interest to do that. But if they were to do that, we still have to let that time period run out.
But if they are, we want to let you know that, because then that way you
Yep.
can record the fact that they are still shooting.
Exactly.
When would this letter go out now? Let me give us
Next
a time
week.
frame. Next week.
Because John's away this week, the letter has to come from the zoning officer.
Okay.
But I'm going to assist John in the preparation of the letter. But it's required under the municipality's planning code and our zoning ordinance that it come from the zoning officer.
Okay.
And he won't be back till Monday?
Monday.
Probably, yeah.
So in effect, your letter will state that
Monday or
they were
Tuesday.
actually never allowed to shoot there.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, and how can I get a hold of you, Mr. Yoshino?
Just call the office, though. Yep.
Okay,
378-1460.
okay.
So ultimately, the decision about whether they can or can't do this moving forward is going to be made by the zoning hearing board, just so you understand.
Who is the zoning hearing board?
There are members that are appointed to that board. It has its own solicitor, just like I'm the solicitor to this board. There's a transcript of the entire proceeding, so it's much like a court proceeding, okay?
Would it be here?
I think they typically hold their hearings right here, don't they? Yeah. Yep. But it's important for you to appear because, you know, you're the evidence.
We'll be here.
I don't think that'd be a problem.
Yeah. I think it would be harder for them to be here, the way they have a tendency of blowing things off.
But the board, in our executive session, we talked, I needed to explain, you know, what it was I had received and what the impact of that was. But this board is unanimous in taking that action.
Great. Well, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. We really do, because there's something called quality of life, and that's important. It is.
Any chance that when that letter goes out, somebody could see a copy of it? Or
Yes.
get a copy of it?
Yes.
I think
It's a public record, so yeah, when it's issued, you can have a copy.
Should they pick somebody to kind of be their representative for the hearing?
As many of them that want to testify can testify, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Let them, you're all ought to testify, really, this way you get the whole group to testify.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll be here numbers.
There's power members.
You all get a notice of the hearing date and all. You'll get a letter.
It'll be
in the
advertised.
newspaper too.
And you'll get, yeah, you'll get a notice.
Yeah,
'Cause I just got
can't-
one for one down by my house.
That's assuming they appeal, which they probably will, but am I correct? That's assuming they appeal.
I'm assuming they're going to appeal.
Yeah, I will.
And Mike didn't mention it, but with the DEP, that's a different track.
Right, right.
So that track is the DEP's responsibility. And I imagine they have their process too. So you may want to continue to be in communication with the DEP.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I've been in contact with Ben Williams as he got promoted. He has a new person that's going to take over the investigation, but yeah, they're not going to let
Because
up.
what we're going to do can happen, you know, we want it to happen faster than what probably the DEP, but I would not let that go.
Oh, no, that's an ongoing thing, yeah. We've been very patient with that too. I mean, we're almost 4 years into some bad water here.
Their extension ends the end of this month with the DEP, so they're gonna be getting it simultaneously from two sides. So that'll wake somebody up, I guess.
Okay.
Well,
Thanks.
All right.
thank you, gentlemen.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
I'll get
We do have
You're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the business.
We have one other item of
One
business.
other item.
No, we'll let you carry on.
Good night, guys.
Who's going to get the garbage contract?
It is garbage.
It is garbage.
That's what we're going to do now.
Good night. Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you.
Nice seeing you, stranger.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, next on the agenda, we do have action to take. We need a motion to accept Valley Waste Incorporated bid for collection, removal and disposal of garbage, rubbish, bulky waste, yard waste, and designated recyclable material for 3 years, with an option on a 4th year for the total amount of $3,293,028.48. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Mr. Force, second by Mr. Chacon. Roll call.
Mr. Force,
Yes.
Mr. Saccone,
Yes.
Mr. DePietro,
Yes.
Mr. Kushner,
Yes.
Mr. Buffalini.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. With that, we're going to need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. DePietro, have a second?
Second.
Mr. Force, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.